Week 7 in the NFL here at SBRForum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and we are talking right now with returning guest Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe Duffy's great year handicapping football, which he did predict he would have, has continued trucking along last week. I know he had a good week at his site, and in our videos he went 2-0 against the spread, which brings him to 13-5 overall on the year, just in the NFL in our videos. Joe, thanks for being back with us.
It is my pleasure. It has been a fantastic year for us for sure.
Okay, now, Joe, as our regular viewers know, these NFL games, they're the games that I ask you to take. You just take whatever I assign you. So your record hasn't been just in your best bets. It's been with taking all comers, and this is going to be a tough one. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Before we get into it, give a plug for OffshoreInsiders.com.
No, you're correct. I would say about 30% of the games I discuss turn into premium picks. But OffshoreInsiders.com is where my picks are. I trace my roots back to the internet days. And in fact, we already know that this upcoming weekend, I will have my college football game of the year, fresh off of hitting my Big Ten game of the year. And I've hit a bunch of game of the year plays, but the big one, the college football game of the year, will be this Saturday from Joe Duffy's picks at OffshoreInsiders.com.
All right, well, let's see what you can tell us about Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Now, before we get into analyzing this game, the first thing I do want to point out is this is one of the classic games where line shopping really matters, because right now Atlanta is a 7 or 7.5 point home favorite, and that's not like, you know, big books and minor books. Those are big books that are split. -7 is at Pinnacle and Heritage. Greek has -7 at -120, and then 7.5, bookmaker, DSI, SIA, Just Bet, and others, and even the total. It can be 42, 42.5, or 43. 42 is bookmaker, DSI, and the Greek. 42.5 Heritage Bet Online, and 43 Pinnacle at 5 dimes. So the good news is that if you take Atlanta, you'll get -7. If you take Tampa Bay, you'll get +7.5, and the same way with the total. The bad news is that this is going to be a tough game to analyze, right? Atlanta, of course, home favorite coming off of the bye and their upset loss to the Jets. Their season kind of in disarray, but you know, it's not clear how much they'll be able to fix over the bye. Julio Jones is out. Roddy White is banged up. Their receiving core, which is supposed to be so amazing this year, is going to have a bunch of no-names starting. And Tampa Bay, though, you know, do you really want to bet on them? Glennon is improving. Darrelle Revis could make things very difficult for Atlanta's questionable passing game. But, you know, do they really have the tools that make you confident in giving them a bet at +7.5? I'm not exactly sure. Joe Duffy, what would you take here if you had to make a bet?
Everything you said is correct. Atlanta is a team that came in with some of the best players at the skill positions, although there was some question about whether Matt Ryan was truly among the elite quarterbacks. But as you said, Julio Jones, he was really developing into one of the top receivers in the league. He's gone. Roddy White, as you said, his status is up in the air. And Tony Gonzalez, nobody can at all question Tony Gonzalez's determination, but even he's got to fight human nature a little bit. He came back this year, was talked out of retirement in order to contend for a Super Bowl, and now that looks like that's probably not going to happen, so he's got to dig a little bit deeper. And my play here is going to be the under as far as this video is concerned. Tampa Bay is the top under team in the NFL based on the old margin of cover, and in short, a lot of people call it the sweat barometer these days, but in measuring how much a team does or doesn't cover the spread by, it's similar with the points per game. And you can also do that with the totals, where Tampa has gone under 4 of 5 this year, but by an average of 10.5 points per game. And that includes all 5 games, not just the under. So what that says is that the odds makers are still, as bad as Tampa's offense is and as good as their defense is, they're still behind them, and the Tampa is a great under team. And Atlanta, the total is artificially high because they're generally an offensive power, but as we said, they don't have the offensive personnel now, so the under appears to be the play.
We can give you 43, which is available at Pinnacle, 5 dimes. That's an unjuiced line, 43. Still a low total in the NFL, though.
It is still a low total, but, you know, the way Tampa is, their quarterback situation. Look, I thought that any quarterback not named Josh Freeman would be an improvement for Tampa Bay. It looks like Mike Glennon isn't much better. The team is disheartened, but one thing that they've gotten some great defense this year, they're tremendous. They're holding teams to about 0.5 passing yards per attempt below their normal average, and 0.4 rushing yards attempt. So they have still been above average on defense and well below average on offense.
All right, well, this is a very tough game to find an edge on, Joe Duffy, but I appreciate that you took it. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, liking the under 43 in Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Thanks, Joe.